Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are creating and streaming today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn. I am delighted to be hosting today. Happy Valentine's Day. It's lovely to be here. We've got a really great stream today and tomorrow celebrating Valentine's Day with the fantastic, the wonderful craft-based designer from Melbourne, Kitiya Palaskas. Hello, Kit.
Hello, Flynn. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I was just thinking the intro just a second ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Let's start with that.
Yes, and if design is your Valentine, like it is for me, you have come to the right place.
Design is your Valentine. There's a poster in that.
I did not plan that. That just came out.
It was cool. I have to acknowledge your amazing background. So colourful.
You might see that there is a giant box of Photoshop shortcut themed candy hearts that I've made, which is up there. I thought it was fitting for today's stream.
It's so cool. It's fantastic. So thank you, Kit, for joining us. I'm really excited about everything you've got in store for us today. It's super fun. And hello, chat. We are live. We're live on Behance and we are live on YouTube as well. So if you've got any questions, comments, how about some love hearts in the chat or something for Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, whatever you celebrate at this time of year. Even if you don't, throw me some skulls and crossbones or something. But hi, Emma. Hi, Tamara. Hello, Alessandra. Johanna's here looking after us as well. Johanna, you're going to be very excited for the stream today, I think, as we get stuck into it. But we are on the global channel. I'm not sure if we've had Kitiya Palaskas on the global channel before, so I thought maybe we'll just do a quick little intro of who you are and what you do, and maybe we'll look at a project or something. And I think you've got a great project in mind. Let's do it. Let's check it out.
So I'll just quickly jump over. Feel free to explore my Instagram if you want to find out more about me. But my name's Kitiya Palaskas. Kit, you can call me. I'm a designer and artist. I specialize in creating props, installations, innovations, murals, all the time. So I just wanted to show you a project that I have done. So this actually launched today. My giant box of candy hearts inspired by my favorite So here they are. I am pretty into the project. When they asked me to collaborate with them, I said, well, I definitely have to make a giant box of candy hearts. And then they said, pick your 3 favorite shortcuts together. So this is literally my most recent project that just came out today. So just to give you kind of an idea of the kinds of work that I do.
That's awesome. That's so great. I love this one. The Command Z is a great giveaway. Sorry about the audio, just dipped a little bit then. Hopefully we're back and all good. But definitely check out Kit's Instagram there. You can see the project. Maybe Johanna will share that in chat as well. And there's, all this like craft-based stuff, which I love. We're always so digitized, and then love, always the breath of fresh air that it is your feed. And oh my God, that bluey one, anyone that caught last week's live stream, which we did with the fantastic Sophie Eleanor. This is Kit, who was the other part of this project, and it's so cool.
I love that we are back-to-back on live.
Yeah.
Collaborating on live without really collaborating and collaborating in real life too.
That's it. That's awesome. It's so great. So, so Valentine's Day, what do you have in store for us, Kitiya Palaskas?
Okay, so I thought I would share with you a quick, fun little tutorial using Photoshop and Adobe Express. Shout out to Adobe Fresco also, which we'll talk about later, so that you can make an animated Valentine's Day card. So if you're the kind of person who decided at the last minute that you were going to tell your crush that you are into them today, or you want to break up with someone maybe, or you just want to send something really lovely to your friends today, you can literally, after this stream is over, jump on Adobe Express and make this animated Valentine's Day card for yourself. I'm just going to show you kind of what we're doing today, just so you can get excited. So I don't know if you can see this, but
yeah, we can see it.
This is
awesome.
What we're making today. Just going to take you through some of the amazing animation tools in Adobe Express and how you can integrate artwork that you've created in Fresco and also in Photoshop straight into Express to create something really fun and also really professional looking. Now, if you're like me, I mean, I've just started getting into animating things myself. I've dabbled in it over the years, but I really, I kind of get intimidated sometimes because it's such a big world to learn. And I love that in Adobe Express, it's kind of like an on-ramp to all of this world of animation. Like, it's really easy to animate things and make it look really fun. So I think these tools are great for people that are interested in animation and would like to kind of get to know it a little bit and how it works within the Adobe tools, but also for people that are seasoned animators and want something quick and streamlined that they can just pull together in a couple of minutes and send off to someone. So I think that's what this is really good for.
Yeah.
Also, I love an animated, like I love an animated digital card. I think it's fun.
It's super cool. And especially like if you're not physically in the same places as someone and you want to send something across, you might have people interstate or in, you know, totally different time zones to you and all that sort of stuff. I've also got to give, if anyone does create a card to break up with someone, can you please like CC me in that? Because I want to know. And the entire Adobe Express team, please. I'm sure they'd love to see it.
You know, like breakups are part of relationships too.
That's right.
And Valentine's Day is not just about love. It can be about like love changing and ending. And so if you need to send a nice breakup card to someone, this is the project for you.
I want to see it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So how does one begin something like this? What do we do?
So the first thing that I did to create this was I'm just going to jump into Photoshop here. Cool. So I actually created an illustration in Fresco. Now, usually the Kitiya Palaskas that a lot of people know works in the physical craft-based world with paper cutouts that I might scan in and textures, paper textures and things like that. But I've really been getting into expanding my, I guess, illustration style into more, I guess, like digital illustration, but also just illustration with like markers and pencils and things like that. Mm-hmm. I may have mentioned on a couple of the streams I've been on that I never used to consider myself like able to draw, but I can cut anything out of paper.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm trying to like debunk that complex that I have about illustration by kind of leaning into this. And I'm loving Fresco for that because it's really forgiving and there's so many fun textures to play around with. And you can actually create something that looks a bit crafty while doing it all online. Also, I travel a lot now for work, so it's really great to be able to just do projects with my iPad rather than have to take my whole entire craft setup with me every time I travel somewhere.
Yeah, hard to pack a Cricut into overhead storage bins. Yeah.
Yeah, although I have done it before. So I just wanted to quickly shout out some of these brushes that I use because I know some people that love Fresco might be really into like how I got this sort of texture. So I found on the Creative Cloud, actually let me show you real quick, on the Creative Cloud website, these two free brush packs by Alejandro Chaveta. And I'm really sorry if I've mispronounced your name, Alejandro. But they are really amazing and you can download them and put them into Fresco and they're really textural. Some of them are like photocopy prints.
Yeah.
He obviously works with a lot of really incredible textures in his work and he's made these brushes. So they're free to download. So if you like what you see and you want to get them, this is where they are. And I think I've shared the link so that we can share it with everyone. So you can just go straight to this page and get the brushes.
Nice.
So I made this and I saved it as a PSD file to preserve all the layers. Now, this is really important for the animation, which we'll be doing in a minute. But one thing that I really want to start with at first is just to put some drop shadow behind each of my different elements. So as you can see, like I have literally saved each of the layers, like leaves, flowers separately, everything, just so that I can animate. I have freedom to animate in Adobe Express. So can you hear me, Flynn? I just feel like sometimes the music goes really loud.
I'm going to turn off the music. Yeah, I think we're roboting a little bit, so I'm just going to turn the music off. I think for today's stream, just because it sometimes gets
one thing that is so funny about every time Flynn and I do a live together is that there is always one tech issue.
There's a tech issue of some kind. Has to be.
Anyway, I love that was the one.
Yeah.
Okay. So just for drop shadowing, so I've just selected this pink flower. I'm just going to really quickly go into layer style, drop shadow, and just play around with what I want it to look like. I don't want it to be like, because I want it to look like it's sort of collaged, but I don't want it to be like too intense. So I'm just going to like take it down to about halfway, and just make the distance. I kind of want it to come under the left. So that's all I do really for drop shadow. I click OK, but then I love this about Photoshop because it's like sometimes I feel like Photoshop just makes things with me in mind. It's like you're going to forget all those, like what levels you used.
Right.
And so I find that if I just do one and then I go to do another one, it just does the same thing. Like it remembers all my settings, which I love.
Redo it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm literally just going to go down each plant and really quickly do it until it's all done. If anybody knows a way to, I'm sure there's a way to batch do this, but
you can batch everything.
Everything.
What happens if you select? I don't know if this will work, but what happens if you select 2 layers at once and try to redo? Would it?
Oh yeah, actually, you're right.
Hold down Shift. I do not know if this works.
We're gonna try it.
I'm not the Photoshop guy.
Me either. So.
Will it let you? No, it won't let you. Okay.
It's fine. We're here. We can just chat away while I quickly do this.
You could totally set up a batch where you could record the steps, do it if it's something that you did all the time. Like if you're like, I'm doing a project where this is like my full-on campaign.
Flynn, I should really do this. Add it to the list of things I should be doing that I just don't do. That I know would make my life so much easier, and yet I always take the hard route.
Yeah.
It's just the way I live my life.
I feel like a lot of people will do that. I know some designers who, if there was a way to automate something, they'll spend days trying to figure out how to automate something to save them 30 seconds maybe a day or something.
Oh yeah. And the way that I work in terms of when I make things in the 3D world, let's just say a collage, I will cut things out of paper, scan those things, vectorize them, turn them into vector or SVG files, only to cut them out from paper again when I could have just cut them once from paper.
Sure.
But the process is just the way I work.
Yeah.
So this is just what I do.
Well, sometimes the whole thing is the journey, right? As well, not just the destination with art. So yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I've just saved that as a PSD.
Looks cool.
That's saved. Hopefully, let's actually just check it's saved in the right place. No, it didn't. Okay. We're going to put flowers, and I'm going to write your name there.
Flowers Flynn. Lovely. I feel like they're for me.
They are for you.
No one's ever given me flowers on Valentine's Day, Kit.
What?
So this is a first.
I hope your partner's watching this.
She's definitely not. After 5 years of live streaming almost every day, she is definitely not watching this live stream.
Okay, so that was our little, that's how I kind of take something from Fresco, edit it a little bit in Photoshop, and it's ready to go in Express now. So let's go into Express. So this is the Express dashboard. I'm sure most of you by now have had a little bit of a play around in Express, but if you haven't, I encourage you to go in because it's so fun and there's so many things to do. And every day it feels like they just add more features. So I love that.
And shout out to the love hearts going up the top of
I know, and shout out to how they put my name there.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so in order to import our PSD file and preserve the layers, there's a few different ways that you can import PSD files. You can kind of create a linked asset that's saved to the cloud, or you can upload manually through all sorts of different things. You can start an artboard and then upload the file after. But to preserve the layers, I find that this is the most direct way to do that. So you on the dashboard, it says start from your content. You click that, and then we'll get our PSD file. So now what it's doing, it's reading the file and it's noticing that obviously there are layers, and it's going to create a file that preserves all of those. So it's going to take just a couple minutes.
Nice.
I like watching all these nice little collages that they put here while they load things. It's kind of funny, and it kind of gives a bit of inspo as to what to do next.
Yeah. We were talking about the animation before, and kind of getting to know animation. Something I've also been doing the same thing with Adobe Express is just experimenting with how far I can push the animation and the types of files and things like that that can come in. And something that I really love about it is that there's no rendering time either.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really helpful to learn animation, for it to just be what you see is what you get. As soon as you click it, it starts animating. Which I find really valuable.
I'm with you. Okay, well, here we are on our artboard. I've just realized that I think I want to replicate this flower in the back. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And it actually can show you. So if you have something like this, you can just go, you can select it and just go down here to some of the image controls, and you can just flip it with a button, which is really great.
Nice.
So I'm just going to pop that in the back because I think I want it to have another big one.
So do they come in as PNGs when it's a Photoshop file?
This is still the Photoshop file with the
Photoshop. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the preserved layers. So I think that's really awesome. They don't. It's hard actually to tell, but I don't think they're PNG. It's just it's literally your Photoshop file.
Yeah, I got to play around with that.
I think I got your name wrong.
Is it what is it? One N or two N's?
Yeah, one N.
One N's right.
Oh, it is? Okay, good.
You knew in your heart.
People spell my name wrong all the time, so I was like, that is shocking.
I get double N a lot of the time. I let it go. I'm fine with it now. Have to.
Okay, good. Well, that was lucky for me. All right, so I'm going to create the image of the card first before we do any animating. So I think I want to resize. So this is the original like Photoshop file size, but I just want to, let's just say I want to put this out as an Instagram reel. So when you go to resize the canvas, there's all these options for different social media, what's it called? Like sizing. Dimensions, there you go, that are really handy. So at the top is Instagram reel. Just going to resize that. And then I'm going to select everything and just bring it down a little smaller because in the final one, I want this to kind of fit within the square of my feed.
Right. So you got to think about the square format at the same time when you're thinking about.
You don't have to, but I am today.
Right. Cool.
So then I'm going to head to one of my libraries. So I've got all these different Creative Cloud libraries, which I house all sorts of different graphics and things that I use all the time. And I've got this textures one, which is basically all paper textures. And I find this comes in really handy for me because I can create craft-based things.
Yeah, wow. So many.
And emulate, like a real craft touch using this. So it's really, really textured. So I want to zoom in on it a lot so that you can sort of see, I think you can start to see that texture coming.
You can see it, yeah, down the bottom right a bit more than I think up the top left on my screen anyway.
Yeah. So I want this to go in the background. So down here, there's a button called Set as Page Background. So if you click that, it then locks this in as the background, and you can just work and click whatever you want around here and it won't move the background.
I've just been dragging images to the bottom. Okay, cool.
You can do that too. But if you know that there's something that you definitely want to be your background, this is what you can do.
Nice.
Okay. I might just try and zoom in a bit. There we go, for a bit more clarity for everybody. But that's looking really good with the shadows and everything. I'm really liking how that looks against the red. So the next thing I'm going to do is add some text. So let's play around here in the text area. So what did it say? It said together forever. So we're going to do together first. I often just kind of like do the tweaking as I go. Like it's not like I don't kind of decide this is the size, this is the placement. I'm the kind of person that kind of tweaks forever until I have to stop myself.
Yeah, right.
So in this text layout area, so this is a panel where you can edit your text. There's so many different things you can do. Just to give you a quick view, there's all these different text layout options. We're going to use one of those. You can create outlines and fills of different colors, play with the opacity. There's all these other text effects. This is where you might do generative AI for to make your text look in all sorts of different ways. We're not going to use that today. Then there's shadows, different kinds of shapes they can fit into, which is really interesting. And animation down below, which we're going to have a look at in a sec. But the first thing I want to do is I'd like to have them arches. So I'm going to create some arches using the text layout options. Now, the one thing about these text layout options is that it'll make your text all capitals. So think about that when you're thinking about a font to use, so that you can find something that like is really readable and looks really good in all caps.
I like that gothic like black letter font that it's suggesting you for Valentine's Day. That's awesome.
Yes. So like there's all these different you could scroll through this for hours, honestly. Like
I have done. Yeah.
You do. But see, for example, I feel like that's not entirely readable, so I wouldn't choose something like that for this particular purpose, but maybe, something like that is a bit more readable. Think about what the purpose is, obviously, for your thing. Yeah. I also want to show you, if you don't like anything that's in here, obviously there's thousands and thousands of Adobe fonts. I've just loaded in a bunch of ones that I like, and you can just go to more fonts, and it separates them by category, and you can choose anything and then just add them into your font collection. But I think mine's already been found, the one that I'm going to use. I quite liked, let's see, did it load? Luckily, it brings up the recent one. So this is the font that I chose, nice. Which I really like. It's sort of like a cowboy font. This button here will adjust the spacing. And don't come for me, people that know everything about kerning, because I don't. And I always get really worried that I'm messing up the kerning. But I like how this just preserves kerning for you. So you don't have to know any of those rules. You can just adjust.
Yeah.
So because it has these thick top and bottoms to this typeface, I want to just separate them a bit. So I've just played around with the letter spacing a little bit.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this just because I want to kind of keep it around the same size and change it so that it is in the other direction.
Easier to duplicate it and then just flip the orientation than it is to start from scratch again. And then
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just like there is in all Adobe tools, there's all different ways that you can do things, and you just have to find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
And your workflow. Maybe you actually really love playing around with sizing and things like that manually, in which case do it your way.
Go for your life. Yeah.
Okay, so here's our text. I think I want to make it a bit smaller, and because like I said, we can resize this at the end also. I'll show you a way, but let's just make it a bit smaller so that everything is sort of coming in nearer to the center, just because we want it to look good on the feed as well. Now, I want to pull these two layers down below all of my plants, just because I would like the plants to overlap on top of the text. I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Kind of collaged on top.
It's like a magazine when there's photo and it's kind of going over the top of the masthead.
Yeah. Now let's make this text orange, because I think I really like sort of tonal art at the moment. So I kind of like I did a lot of contrasting colors at first, but I quite like this sort of tonal vibe. In the color options, you can sample directly from stuff on your artboard. You can also, if you have swatches loaded up, in your brand kit, it'll bring them up here too.
I think it picks anything up from your entire screen, doesn't it? That color picker?
Yeah. So you can, yeah. So I'm just going to use that again to make sure I get the exact right color.
Nice.
And then it recommends other colors for you in case you want to use additional colors in your art. So, all right, this is what the card looks like. We're going to now start animating things, the exciting part. So we're going to start with the text. So let's start with the first word. We go down here when you've selected the text to this animation panel. And so just a little bit of an explanation. There's 3 different kinds of ways that you can animate. You can animate something so that it starts the animation in a certain way. So if you click on in, you'll see that there's all these different options for what is available. So you can sample them just by rolling your mouse over them. So there's lots of different kinds, right? And so then there's also looping. So this is something that happens for your whole entire animation. And there's lots of different options for that. And likewise, something to end your animation. They're quite similar to the ones in the in section.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So first of all, I just want to, let's just apply one and it'll open up the timeline. So, and I'll be able to show you some things about the timeline. Now, I knew I was going to forget what exact settings I used when I planned this Flynn. So I've written them all down like a recipe.
Oh my God. I do the exact same thing. It's it works really well if it's 20% of this amount. Yeah, I'll write it all down. I do the same thing. It's usually on the second screen. So it just looks like I'm looking over it, making sure the stream's doing okay, but I'm copying and pasting values. I'm
looking at my messy little notebook here.
Beautiful.
So I chose spin in because I thought it would look really fun if it just like popped in. And I think I want to make the duration 1 second. You can choose as much as you want. And so it's got like all this personality. So you can make it soft, smooth, strong, energetic, loud. I like smooth. I think that's quite nice. Have a play around. And so then we want it to come in from the left and spin in from the left as well. So as you can see, it's opened up this timeline thing, which you might be familiar with similar things like this if you've made animated GIFs in Photoshop before, or also if you've used, various social media platforms. It's sort of, it's really easy to kind of understand how to use this. It's quite intuitive for us because we see these sorts of timelines all over the place these days.
Yeah, it's like caked into your phone, this kind of thing. It's like a very standardized kind of
thing. And I think that was really clever of them to do because it means we're not having to learn brand new tech. We're doing things that's similar to what we've already done, which makes, I guess, the barrier of entry to using tools like this a lot lower, which is great. So I've just made my whole animation 10 seconds. I'm going to be working within one scene for this. But you can add different scenes if you have totally different images. So you can actually make full reels and stuff like that within here, which is cool. There's a toggle down here called show layer timing, and I'm going to turn it on. So every time I click on one of my elements, it'll bring it up here and I can control kind of like when this will show on my artboard.
Right.
So yeah, so I just thought I'd let you know about that. I'll zoom out so we can have a better view of the whole thing as I work. Can you see that properly? Is that all good?
Yep, that's all good. Yep.
Okay. So now I think I want the forever part to do the exact, to come in from the opposite side. So I'm going to use the same spin, and we're going to make it the same duration so it all matches up. We're going to make it smooth as well. Now I'm looking at my recipe and we said we want it to come in from the same side and we want it to come that way.
I like that you called it a recipe because that's exactly how I do a recipe. And I'll be like, oh no, it's a third of a cup, not 3/4 of a cup.
So let's just sample that. I think that looks really nice. It's got like a nice sort of symmetry to it, much like the flowers have a symmetry. Okay, so that's our text, which is cool. Let's we're going to add a little bit more to that at the end, but I think that we should do some flower animations now. So I want these flowers to look like they're kind of waving, and I think that I want I don't want them to do anything special in the beginning or the end. I want them to loop throughout the whole entire animation. So I'm going to choose the looping option. And we've got a few options here. I love that they tell us more coming soon because I'm really excited to see.
I'm pretty keen to see what else is coming for sure.
I know. I feel like they add new stuff all the time. So it's like fun. You can check back in and there's different things. I quite like this bobbing one. I think that kind of looks like the flowers are blowing in the breeze, which is really nice. So I think for those, I'm going to use bob as an option. I think the speed's good, but the intensity, it's okay.
It's kind of how much it's moving.
Yeah, I might like reduce it just a little bit. So it's just a bit more subtle. And then I'm going to actually pull it down because I don't want it to come off the stem when it animates.
Right.
I want it to stay on the stem. So that's better. I think that looks quite good.
That's great.
And I'm going to do the same thing with the pink flower, but I'm going to change the intensity of it so that it looks like it's, it's not doing the exact same thing. Because I think when there's two things right next to each other doing the same animation, it kind of like breaks the magic a little bit. So you want to kind of adjust it a bit. So we're going to make this go really slowly. We're going to put it on 10 and the intensity is going to be on 7 according to my recipe book. So that's quite nice. It's like just blowing, maybe it's a heavier flower. It's blowing a bit slower in the breeze.
Right.
So let's test. I think that looks quite nice.
That's great.
Okay, so now I want every single individual leaf because, I really want to dig deep on this animation thing. I want every single leaf to be moving at the same time as well. I'm just a simple girl that doesn't have very many needs or anything like that. So we're going to go in.
Every individual leaf must blow differently.
And this is the great thing about being able to load in a Photoshop file that has all the layers. Because so when I drew this in Fresco, as is probably obvious to anyone that uses Fresco or Photoshop layers a lot, I just drew every single element on a different layer. so that it would be preserved and I could do this, knowing that this is what I was going to do afterwards, except for things like the top part of the flower. So if you want to sort of keep things a little bit more simple, if you're doing something like a flower, make the whole flower head its own thing. Don't split it even further unless that's something that's really important to your animation story. But for me, it wasn't. So I just...
Cool. So there's a little bit of like planning, a little bit of thinking ahead.
Yeah, and I think that maybe that's just thinking about the way things are going to move, where they're going to move, and how in relation to each other with animation seems to be what the pros do. And since I'm a pro at animation now, at least on Express,
yes,
listen to my advice. Okay, so let's do looping again. I quite liked this little wiggle motion here. I think it's quite nice. So I'm going to click that. And I've just noticed actually that the leaf is underneath the stem. I think that's quite cool, but maybe for this one, it'll be over, because I guess like if you think about the way flowers work, leaves come out of both sides. So that kind of helps with the, I guess, like creating some depth there, like it's a real collage. All right, so anyway, back to animating this. We have wiggle, and I think I'm just going to make them all. So this is where I'll go a little bit rogue. We'll make them all varying intensities and speeds, but all of them slightly different. Just choose. I'm just going to go in and just choose a bunch of things, and then we'll just see how it all works together, and then I can tweak it a little bit when I see what it looks like overall. And I'm not going to animate the stem. The stem is the one thing that's probably just going to stay static in this. You know, we don't have to go too overboard. This one, do that real quick. Make that one really slow, perhaps. And then this big one, probably, you know, not that this is realistic, but maybe it's heavier than the other ones.
Right.
Maybe it moves a little bit slower. Okay, let's see. Oh, I think that looks quite good.
Yeah, nice.
That one is moving, isn't it? Yeah, just gently.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so now we're going to do the same with the dark green, and we're going to change the type of animation, because again, I want it to look different. I found this one called Jitter, which I think is kind of cool. It's like it's doing a little shimmy. It's really excited to be with its like flower Valentine. I sound like a crazy person.
That's awesome.
I actually talk to my plants and stuff. They have been studies that have been done that if you kind of like speak to your plants with love and sort of affection, they actually are healthier.
Oh, yeah.
When I was making this, I was like talking to this is really wild to admit online globally, but I was like talking to my little flowers like they were my friends. But, you know, I don't know. Nature is one of my biggest inspirations, and like everything that I do kind of like is inspired by it in a way these days. So
right, yeah,
I'm that strange flower person.
It's not any crazier than talking to yourself, and I think everyone does that when they're alone anyway. So you might as well talk to a plant.
Anyone that is saying right now, I don't talk to myself, we know you're lying. We know you do. Okay, so then I'm just on the last leaf now, and then we're going to have a look what it looks like as a whole. Jitter. Let's make that one a little bit slower. Okay, let's test this out.
Nice.
I love that. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now what I want to do is I want to add just an extra level of, we're going to go even deeper on the animation. I actually want the flowers to come in from left and right and like hug each other because it's Valentine's Day.
Lovely.
So I'm going to zoom in. Now, I've tried this a couple of ways. I've tried to just select it all from the layers panel, but I think the best way to do this that I have found is to just like, you can't group things because then it will make it all one animation.
Right.
I want to preserve all the individual animations that each of these elements has. So I'm just actually going to like manually select the elements, which is why I zoomed in, because it can be a little bit tricky to highlight them all. But let me just test. Okay, yeah. So that's all of those selected. And now I'm going to go into the animation panel, and you can see it says multiple here because it's picking up that there's lots of different things going on. Mm-hmm. So in the looping part, lots of different things have been programmed in, and that's going to stay as is. But in the in part, I'm going to make this whole entire thing
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we're going to make it drift in from the left. And so it's going to do that. And then it's going to do the looping of all the individual elements.
Very cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did not know that. You've cracked a little code there, I think, in animating in Express.
It's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just keep it the duration. Let's just say we'll make it like 3 seconds, like a slow drift in. Love that. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to do the same with this pink flower. We're going to have it drift in from the other side. I also like how it like will bring up the, you'll actually be able to see what you're highlighting. It just makes it a little bit easier because it like puts a box around it. Let's test that. Oh, whoops. I forgot the stem. Let's see if that did it. Yeah, okay. So now we want that to drift in from the other side. So we choose drift again. We make it the same duration because we want them to join at the same time. I said 3 seconds, I think, and to come in. Right, so let's zoom back out and just see what this all looks like all together with that added. Yeah, I think I like that. And so one more thing is I want to make the text come in after the flowers. So the flowers come in first. So that's where this layer timing really comes in handy. I'm just going to drag the timeline for each of my words up to where I want it to come in. So let's just say around 8 seconds, 8.1. And I also want it to leave before the flowers too, leaving just the flowers. So we'll say 6.1 and 8.1. So let's remember that. 8.1, whoopsie, 8.1 and 6.1.
Nice. I had it locked and loaded, ready to go.
I'm glad you were there because I would have forgotten that. All right, let's have a look. This is our finished animation.
Nice. Yes, awesome.
And then it'll leave after you've looked at it all. Oh, except one thing I forgot to do.
It disappeared, right? So
it disappear. Let's make it disappear. So we know what to do. We're going to go to the out section. And I've written down the menu so I don't muck this up. It is spin and it is 1 second. And we're going to make it go. I'm just following my menu here. I'm going to do that.
Following your notes. So this is probably a lot of trial and error to figure out exactly what worked for this one.
Yeah. And keep notes if you find combinations of like things that you really like so that you can emulate them again and again. Make a recipe book.
That's awesome.
And this one goes that way and it goes that way. Okay, cool. All right, one more time. I think it's very sweet.
It's awesome.
Ah,
animate out. Perfect. Well
okay.
done.
So that is it. Now, if we want to resize, before we save this as a video file, let's just say you wanted to, like earlier today, I actually sent this to my partner as a Valentine's thing. I sent it on WhatsApp. So yeah, or on whatever texting you've got. So I actually resized it from the story down into a different size. So I went to the Instagram area and I chose Instagram portrait post, which is like 3-4 dimensions.
Right.
So it resizes the background and then all you have to do is just select everything and just drag to fill.
Right.
And that's as easy as resizing is, and you can just keep resizing. But let's go back to our story slide. So this is just a real quick hack. I know we're almost out of time. If you want to make sure that this fits within the square grid so that when it looks pretty on your grid when you post it as a reel, go to this element section. There's a shapes library here, and you can just type in square, and it pops a square onto your artboard. This is just temporary. We're going to delete it in a sec, but make it go for the full width of your screen, and make the opacity like really low, and it becomes a little template.
It's like a little guide for you.
Yeah, so I can see that I kind of need to like just make this a little bit smaller to fit within the square. And then I know now that that's going to fit within the square on my feed.
Awesome. That's a great tip because, yeah, so often you'll spend so much time creating some video content and then you look at your feed and it's all off, can't read the heading type or something.
If you're like me and you're really particular about the way your feed looks, even though I'm sure no one's really looking at it, except for all of you now. Yeah, that's a really handy little hack that I kind of just do when I'm creating reels in Express.
That's awesome.
So that is the animation tools. I hope it's given you a little teaser of what to expect when you try out animation for yourself in Adobe Express. As you can see, there's a lot of versatility, and it actually, like, you can do a lot with such simple tools. And it's really, like, there's a lot of different stuff going on there, but it was really simple to do.
Yeah.
So I hope you have fun, and I hope you kind of like give it a go now, because I've like fallen in love with like Adobe Express animating now. I want to do so many more of these little vignettes with my art.
That's awesome. No, I absolutely love it. In celebration, I did a little vertical wipe in our thing to transition to our cameras. That was so much fun. There was 3 different things. I've been playing around with Adobe Express animating as well lately for some upcoming streams, and there were 3 different things you did in there that I did not know. So thank you for putting in the work for me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely love that. Do we want to give a bit of a sneak peek for tomorrow? We will be back tomorrow at the exact same time. Kit, do you want to give a little bit of a
yeah, I'll let you know what we're doing. So we're going to take some of these illustrated elements, and we're going to be back in Express. We're going to be using AI to generate a really amazing card that you can actually print out. So we're going to use the template generation tool with AI in Express, and we're going to incorporate some of these elements. So this is for anyone that might be in a different hemisphere and Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Right. It'll be perfect for you if you need a printable card really quick for someone in your life, or if you totally forgotten you're in the doghouse and you need to make it up to your special someone. Tomorrow's session will be perfect for you because you can quickly whip up a card and print it out and bring it home with some flowers. And
don't forget, you can always do a breakup card. And if you do, I want to see it. I want to see these breakup cards, people.
Leave it on the doorstep with some burning roses.
Some dead roses that you like bought like 2 weeks earlier so that they will be dead on time. We'll end it there. Thank you, Kit. Lovely hanging out with you as always. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, I'm really excited. Thanks everyone for having me, and thanks Flynn, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
Happy Valentine's Day.